For the love of everything holy, please stop wasting your money. Every realtor I know seems to be wasting their money in an irresponsible sort of ways. Here's what's happening, gang, is we're seeing people try to buy their way to the top. I'm going to buy the most expensive leads possible. And as I buy these expensive leads, it's going to make me to have this awesome business. Well, gang, as a real estate coach and as a guy who's actively leading a team, I got to tell you, it's pretty dangerous. And so if you're going down the path of trying to grow this big, awesome, amazing business, and you're trying to buy your way to the top, you are betting on the wrong horse. Gang, my name's Erik with Hatch Realty and Hatch Coaching. My gosh, I'm thrilled today because my man, my new best friend, Jesse Burrell out of Phoenix, Arizona, is joining us. Jesse, how in the world are you, buddy?
I am doing wonderful, super busy, and I'm excited to basically hop on with you today and give realtors a different perspective of how they could find and generate new leads. So, got the privilege of meeting someone as successful as yourself about a month or so ago, and man, you're doing some great things. So it's been really good to start collaborating and figuring out how we could both give value to our prospective communities together.
Gang, I was down in Scottsdale a couple of weeks ago. I was masterminding with some guys, and in walks Jesse, a buddy of my guy, David, who's also Jesse's guy. And he sits down at our table like, I didn't invite you, bro. Like, how'd you end up here? Like, and he hangs out, and all of a sudden we start finding out like, whoa. This guy's like a dude among dudes. And that's like the highest compliment I can give, is to call somebody a dude. And so Jesse is a dude among dudes running this huge company. And we looked at each other and we're like, you know what? I think there's something here. We're probably best friends and we don't even know it yet. And so in his phone, I'm literally labeled new best friend. So that's a really fun thing. And we started to talk about our passion for business and industry, and trying to help people to have better lives is really at the core of this all. And Jesse lives not in the regular real estate world that most of us who are watching this live in. I'm a residential realtor and a coach. That's the world that I live in. Jesse, you hold your real estate license, but you don't necessarily spend your time as a realtor. So give us a little background of what you are, what you do, and who you are.
Yeah, I'll give a real quick background. Is I actually started in 2012 working for a real estate investment company. So this is back when it was starting to shift back up, and I was basically just an acquisition specialist, finding pre-foreclosures, finding short sales, and just distressed properties on the MLS. Did that for about a year. And then I did actually get my real estate license. And what I focused on when I got started was I partnered with a couple lenders that would send me leads. So it didn't cost me any money, and it was personal relationships I had, but it was also my job to go to open houses, find new buyers, and send them leads. And the other thing I did is what I knew how to do, and that was find investor deals. So I would go on the MLS, with my license, call up and try and represent some investors that were looking to do fix and flips or buy and holds. And then soon after that, I figured out there's another layer to add on, and that's when I started going direct to seller. So I was wholesaling property, so didn't necessarily have to find them on market, using my license to find stuff on market, and then working with buyers and sellers. And then it soon transitioned into me really just focusing on finding off-market deals. And then I started buying houses to hold and buying houses to flip. And then I would also use my license to, if I went to an appointment and the houses were in much better shape and the client wanted, a retail offer, I would let them know that, hey, I also have my license and I'd be more than happy to help list your home and get you top dollar. And then it evolved from there, is not liking the solutions that I had in that world. And then we created batch service, which is 4 products: batch leads, batch skip tracing, batch dialer, and batch data. We're going to focus today on batch leads, but we wanted to create better solutions for us to be more successful in finding particular deals. I was always one that liked to hunt. I didn't do a whole ton of PPC. I didn't do a whole ton of paying people a bunch of money to hand me a small amount of leads. I wanted to target with data to find those leads. And that's where our business was really built upon what I wanted for my company at the time.
And give us an understanding of how large batch is now. By the way, batch, hatch, batch. I love this marriage already. Is really fun. But how big is batch services in all your companies? Because you're doing huge things, and I don't think that most residential realtors are aware of what you're doing.
Yeah, we do have quite a few realtors on our platform, but we have tens of thousands of active clients, over 250 members that work for the organization as a whole. So, we're really focused on, the real estate investor. And I really would love to get the name out there for the realtors holistically, because there's quite a few that use us, but I go to a lot of seminars and a lot of events, and a lot of people just do it the way that they've been taught. And I think there's a better way or another tool to add to a belt as a realtor to help yourself go find more deals or more listings, more buyers, and work with more investors, to where you're just adding more revenue and you're able to pinpoint and target the people that you want to go after and build relationships with. And I think it's really powerful.
Yeah. I want to give folks that are watching or listening a really clear insight of where we're going today. I want to put more money in your pocket and have you spend less money. That's the
Right.
end goal of this. And we have a number of ways in which we can do so. But I want to paint this picture that people understand this. Okay. First off, and if you're not taking notes, please write some of this stuff down, because it's going to be foundational to where we're going. I think that there's 4 types of lead sources, only 4. And most of the time we fumble our way through it. The first type is PCSOI, past clients and sphere of influence. If you can grow the business that you want and make the money that you want, this is the only source you should count on that will stand alone. This is the most powerful, impactful way in which to grow a business. If you can just rely on past clients and sphere of influence, you will forever have a business, as far as I'm concerned, because this is a relationship game more than anything else. But Jesse, here's what happens is I get people that come to me all the time and they're like, I'm new to a community, or I don't have a big database myself. And what am I going to do? And the easy draw for people is to go after the second lead source, and that's low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit would be the high dollar cost lead sources. We're looking at Zillow and Realtor.com and OpCity and HomeLight and Dave Ramsey. And I'm going off of all these things that charge you 35% of the commission. You're literally giving away a third of your hard-earned dollars, because they have they have already won that consumer over, and you're just there to close the transaction. Mark my words, the cost of those today is 30 to 35%. Tomorrow will be 50%, and you'll be working for them. They're not working for you. It is the most dangerous drug to be on. It's something that we sprinkle in. Especially those of us with large teams, it's something we sprinkle in, but too many people are so reliant on that drug. Super dangerous. So PCSOI, low-hanging fruit. Reputation is number 3. This is related to the reviews that you have, to your YouTube channel, to your social media presence, where somebody feels like they're in relationship with you and they know what they're getting long before they actually sign up to work with you. Think of radio and TV and billboards. They feel like they know who they're getting when they're signing up. And so this reputation business is a long-term seed planting piece. And so all those 3 are really valuable, but where we're spending our time today is to talk about long-term nurtures. This is a time in which you can purchase things for a very, very low cost. And then it's your dirty work, your grinding, your hustle that will provide a massive amount of fruit from it. So this is not the easy one-stop shop. This takes some savvy. And Jesse, you are ripe with savvy right now. There's 2 categories I want to talk about here when it comes to these long-term nurtures. This is the 4th category again. The first is pay-per-click and forced registration. These traditionally are tools in which realtors use. This idea of pay-per-click is tempting, because you can buy a lead for 10 to 20 bucks a lead, and then you're going to nurture it over time and it's going to cash out for you. But the other way, and this is the direction where we're going today, the other thing that's important is that we pay really great attention to what does it look like to farm? What does it look like to dive in with raw data? What does it look like to work a specific group of targeted homeowners that we can go after. And that's where we're going today. Jesse, what am I missing in terms of trying to lay the land here for people understanding the direction of our conversation?
I think you absolutely nailed it, and I'm excited to kind of get in and give people an idea of how you could layer in something else. But you're hitting the nail on the head here. Is it does take effort. This isn't a low effort activity, but it's a high reward for the money that you're going to spend to the commissions that you can make could be much greater, and you're able to keep a lot more money. But that's how everything in this world works. If you're willing to put in time and effort that others aren't, you're gonna see the fruits of that.
Yeah. Yep. This is planting seeds for harvest for the next chapter. And sometimes you may sprout and you may win after 10 days, and it may take 100 days. Jesse, your primary user at Batch is not a realtor, although you do have a sea of realtors that are using you. It's traditionally an investor. What does that look like?
Yeah. So what people do is, they sign up for a subscription. You're able to get X amount of prospects a month. Let's go to our lowest level plan, which is 10,000 prospects, which is a ton for realtor. So how you're able to chop that up to where you're able to go farm for sellers in certain areas. And here's the other thing, you're actually able to go farm for other investors. So we do have like a cash buyer or investor list. Like, I don't understand why agents aren't building their pipeline there as well, to where you're having someone that's buying and holding properties or buying and flipping properties in our platform. You could target that all the way down to a zip code of an area that you want to farm wire. And then from us, you could get their contact information. You can get their email, their phone number. Same for sellers. Why aren't you reaching out to those people for one, trying to get their listings of homes that they're flipping? Now you'd have to prove that over long term. Or in the meantime, why don't you find out their criteria? And if you ever have a listing coming available before it hits the market, why would you not want to present that to them first and show value? Like, why aren't you doing that as a realtor? It makes no
Yeah.
sense.
Folks, mark my words. If you are an MLS agent, you are going to have a short-lived life as a realtor. This industry, this business is forcing us to look outside of the MLS for our opportunities. To the savvy comes the rewards. And that's where Jesse, remember I said he's dripping in savvy. This is our chance now to lean in. We have 13 ways in which you can work hard and smart at the same time to reap yourself the rewards without a massive financial investment. Jesse, I get people all the time that come to me that are, again, brand new in the industry, or they don't have that deep database. And this is a chance for them to build their database. It's a chance for them to target specific areas. And the first area I want to talk about is a neighborhood farm. On your list of 13, number 1 should be a neighborhood farm. Please write that down, gang. The idea behind a farm is a big one. You drip on them for a long period of time, and then eventually you'll win their business. In fact, I was talking to a coaching client earlier today. He sends out postcards. He's in California, so their average sales price is obviously different than Fargo, North Dakota. So I already hate him. But regardless of that, he's spending $4,000 a month on postcards. 4,000. And I asked him, because he's been doing this for years, I said, Chase, what kind of results are you getting from this? I have this webinar that's coming up later today. And he said, right now it's March 7th as we record this. He said, I have 10 closings on the book for this year that come from my farm. Let's pump the brakes, because that does not happen immediately. He has their addresses. He has their names. He's then working on getting more information. And this, Jesse, is where I think you come in, because we can get those addresses, but rare can we actually get their email and their phone number. How does Batch, or people in similar companies like yours, how do you actually get the data and the information for these farms? Because if we're going to drip on these people over time and we want to win a great amount of business, we have to know how to contact them, and you can help us to do that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we have the whole nationwide database of, all properties, all distress points, or most distress points, all distress points that you would probably want to see as a realtor or an investor. And then we also have, which differentiates us, is the highest and most accurate contact information for emails and phone numbers, which is something that we've aggregated proprietarily over the last, 4, 5, 6 years. and have ways of cleaning it and cleansing it and cross-checking, to make sure it's as good as it could possibly be. But what's really cool about it is you're talking about the direct mail, like farming for an area.
Mhm.
Now, as the realtor, you're farming. I don't think you necessarily just want to blanket that list. That's where you would come into batch and say, okay, you could create or draw a map of the neighborhood or area that you want to farm. Then from there, what you're doing is like, who are you going after and who are you trying to contact with? Are you trying to find someone that's maybe um, has had a home for more than 10 years? Maybe they're an absentee owner, right? They don't even live in the state. They're out of state absentee owner. Wouldn't you want to send a specific piece of mail to that person with specific messaging, or someone that, just bought a house, or someone, there's so many different ways to chop up the data. You could have, um, certain amounts of equity. You could have, if they're in
Mhm.
pre-foreclosure, you could have, if it's just a rental property. I'm just riffing off the top of my head of
Right.
age demographics, wealth demographics. We have all this information all in one place, and it's in your hands to have you figure out, who am I trying to create a campaign for, and who am I trying to talk to, and how am I trying to
Mhm.
position to where I could add value to them. Or, let's talk about a new listing that you have. You want to let certain people know in certain areas, maybe someone that's owned a house for X amount of years that has this much equity that may consider moving. What they want to come check out what this house is going for, and what a new listing in their neighborhood's like.
Mhm.
There's so many different ways, and I guess you could speak on this too. Where does your head go, Eric?
Well, you're talking about farms, but you're talking about very selected farms, right? You have farms
Yeah,
of absentee owners, you have farms of people that are pre-foreclosure, you have farms of people that are in a specific neighborhood. And the problem is, we as realtors, we look around, we're like, well, how am I supposed to get this information? Where does this come from? And what I've loved about your tools and software is it allows us to learn and to go and to grow with this. Folks, understand this is not a paid endorsement for Batch, although I'd happily take your money, Jesse, if you want to send it my way. It's because I understand that people right now are saying, I need more at bats. I need to find people that are most likely to move, and how do I get in front of them? And so step number one is the neighborhood farm. And we're gonna unpack a little bit further of the different ways in which people can take data. A neighborhood farm is the first piece that I just want to name. Let's go to number two, because I think this is one of my favorites. We're gonna say number two is to target orphaned buyers. And this is one of my favorite strategies that I get to teach people, is this idea of targeting orphan buyers. Who's who identify as an orphan buyer? Let's say I sell the house at 123 Main Street. Well, I have that seller's information. Hopefully they moved in the area and I still have them in my database, and I'm still continuing to drip on them and service them. But that new buyer that comes into the house, I need to do one thing, and it's three simple words. I want you all to write this down. It's to act as if. I need to act as if that person is my real estate client, that they were my client to begin with. I'm going to assume the relationship, even though I didn't have the relationship with them. They're going to hopefully remember the hatch brokered by Real sign that was in the yard. They're going to remember me as the realtor. And now I'm going to act as if. I'm going to assume that relationship. I'm going to treat them as an orphaned buyer, and I'm going to adopt them into my family. Now, I don't know about you, Jesse, but I'm pretty convinced that Batch and or another opportunity gets us that data and that information. We of course know their name from the closing disclosure, but we don't have their email, we don't have their phone number, and we can get that simply by skip tracing with you. Is that right?
that's correct. Yeah, once it's recorded with the county, we do have MLS information stuff too. So once that's recorded, um, it changes over. Our database flips. So you could filter or search, who's bought within the last 3 months, and then make sure that you extract that list, and then boom, you have your orphan buyer list for that neighborhood that you're farming, and now you're
Mhm.
rocking and rolling. So like, I understand exactly what you're doing. I never did this. This is truly brilliant, because now what you're trying to do is, yes, you listed a house, you just got paid a commission on that, but now the person that moved into the house, you're acting as if you double dipped, or you were already servicing
Mhm.
them, and now you're showing that value in doing that for all your listings. I mean, that's an incredible strategy, and it just shows the value that you want to give to not only the clients that you service, but the clients that you could have in the future too. And I think
Mhm.
it comes from a place because you believe that you're going to service any client better than anyone else. So you want to be in front of as many people as you could be in.
Mhm. So it's a different strategy, right? Strategy number 3, and gang, we're going to jump ahead, but we're going to come back here. We're going to jump ahead and say strategy number 3 is to focus on the ripe. And Jesse, that's what you were alluding to a couple of moments ago, right? Is that there are people that are most likely to sell, people that have a lot of equity in their home, people that have experienced a life situation. There's a company that we've worked with in the past. It's called Revaluate, and they do that same thing. They look for life events that happen, and then they'll use that as a trigger in your database to say, reach out to this person because their Google search has showed that they're looking for baby clothes right now, which means that their family's growing, which means that maybe their real estate needs are changing. So there's all these data points that we can work on searching for the ripe. The exact opposite of that is searching for those that just closed. And we think that our greatest chance of opportunity is just on the ripe. But I actually think that our greatest chance of opportunity are those that are engaged. Okay.
Right.
So if we're talking about those that are engaged, they were just engaged in the transaction. They're most likely to be still talking about real estate. And so you need to capture that. That's why that number 2 orphan buyer piece is so important. And then we marry that with number 3, capturing the ripe. So Jesse, in your experience, who are the most ripe people in the databases that you look at that are most likely to move? You there, bro? I think
Yeah,
it's
I'm
my
here.
internet, not yours.
Yeah, I think it's yours.
Did you get my question? Yeah, it
Yes.
is. I'm the worst.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
Who's the most ripe and likely to move?
so I believe, each market's a little bit different, but naturally, I would say when a home is vacant, there's a reason why this home is vacant. Either someone is fixing it, someone's going to want to put a renter in it, or someone's going to want to sell it. Um, Also, it's also really great to absentee owners. So it could be in-state or out-of-state. An absentee owner is basically a landlord, someone that owns a house that isn't their primary residence. Those are always great people to tap on. And it's good to long-term nurture those people because you may reach out to them one time and they're like, absolutely not. Like, tenant's great, they're paying on time. But if you reach out a quarter later or 6 months later or 9 months later, what if their tenants behind rent, they trash the house, they don't want to deal with it, they have a bunch of equity? Those are really good nurture campaigns. So always having those absentee owners and then also being on top of those newly vacants. And then there's also another great filter that we have inside Batch, and that is called unknown equity. So someone has had a house for so long, and when it was recorded, we didn't have the information on those houses to where you don't know what the equity is. Those are also great people to reach out to because it's more unknown on the type of equity they have, and they've owned these houses for a long time, so they're typically empty nesters or someone that's had a property for a long time. And that's where you're just going in and targeting certain areas and neighborhoods. As I said, everyone, I always get realtors or wholesalers or investors say, what's the best list? And it's like, well, what's your business look like? And what are you
Mhm.
trying to accomplish? Everyone has little niches inside of the the arena that they play inside real estate. Someone may specialize in working with uh, investors or work with people that own rentals because they talk with them best. Some people may work better with people that own houses and want to do the orphan buyer campaign or want to do reaching out to people that do have high equity and have you know all these layered filters with them. It's just everyone's different. So it's like what I would chop up your data depending on the strengths that you have inside your business. That's always my best advice.
Yeah, and that's super insightful. And that actually transitions us to number 4. Okay, gang, I said we have 13, and we're going to move pretty fast here. So continue to take notes. Those of you watching live, if you have questions, put them into the chat here. Number 4 is this: is I need to target people that are likely to take an investor offer. I think that investors make, Jesse, they make this mistake of they go into an entire 18-hole golf match and they have one club in their bag. All they have is their driver. And so they're stepping it, and it's going to be stressful and it's going to be annoying. And then we're going to get beat up on inspection and appraisal, and hopefully it'll go to closing so long as everything holds together. And some people's life just doesn't support that. And so I apologize that I keep breaking. I have a bad internet connection here. Number 4 is those mostly to take an investor offer. Coming back to that. The idea behind this is we run what's called a snap offer program. It's as easy as 3, 2, 1 sold. 3 is you contact us. 2, we do an on-site valuation of your property. And 1 is we give you a menu of options. Option number 1 is list traditionally. Right? That's my first golf club in my bag. Option number 2 is I'll give you 10 grand to fix up your home. You just pay me back at closing, interest-free loan. Super easy to do. And option number 3, you sell direct to an investor, and you don't have to fix your house. You don't have to you pick the closing date. There's no fees. There's no anything else. And so it's a really great opportunity for people if they want to take advantage of the options that we have. Gang, if you're a realtor right now, if you only have one option of listing traditionally, you are leaving yourself short. And I think when you work with data and can identify people that are likely to take an investor offer, you're going to be that much better off. So Jesse, I asked this question to you. Who is most likely to take an investor offer?
Geez. I would say typically a house that needs a lot of work, because you may actually get paid more money if you sell it directly to an investor instead of putting it on the market to where it's going to sit there, or it's not going to be a typical owner that's going to want to buy it. So it's normally going to be a distressed home, and that's a lot of the filtering that we have. But if someone's to go to a listing appointment and talking about the tools in the tool belt, I think it's very important to where this is where you could really utilize batch leads. Is I alluded to this earlier, is having those clients of investors. So when you go on an appointment like this, you already kind of know the condition of the house. You've already maybe shared some details with an investor and saying, hey, is this something that you're interested in buying? So like you building up your investor clientele, it adds value, one to your investor and one to the client that you're going to go take care of and give them that option. So if you're not, let's call it a wholesaler or flipping or buying rentals yourself, you should have people that do that. So you have that option for them. As what Erik is alluding to, is it's really important to have a whole lot of investors that buy a whole different array of properties, to where if you find yourself in that listing situation, you should be offering, here are your options. And if they want to go the investor route, you don't necessarily have to have a number for them. Be like, let me reach out to my network. What's your timeline? Like, you also want to understand, make sure that they don't want to do any work. When do they want to move? Understand that it's a cash purchase or hard money purchase, to where there's going to be no contingencies on financing, and having that option for your client. At the end of the day, it's about the client. You want to present them with what's best for the situation that they're in. And also know that if they do want that cash offer, they're most likely trading a little bit of time in making it simpler of a process versus going a traditional route to where you could potentially make a little bit more money. It's their decision to make. You're just giving them the options.
Man, that's so important that we give our consumers options. It's not about what's best for us. It's about what's best for them. And we have to be able to present them with a slew of options. Jesse, let's move to number 5. Gang, expired listings. Expired listings for the last 2.5 years or so really weren't a thing in real estate, but expireds are back, baby. Welcome back to a huge opportunity that you have to go and hunt basically for free. But Jesse, here's what happens when I go to the MLS and I try to find that person's contact info. If their listing is now expired, they've taken their phone number off of it. There's no email address. And so I'm left saying, well, I can knock on their door or I can just give up. And I think most people just choose to give up. What can somebody do in terms of getting that data for an expired listing? That's pretty easy to do on your end, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we have a click filter to where you could just put in a city, state, zip code, whatever you want to do. Expired listings will pull up. You could filter on, how long you want them to be expired for. And from there, you could just create a list, skip trace them, get the phone number and email, and give them a simple phone call. It is as simple as that. Like, it truly is.
Yeah. I won't belabor that point because I think it's a pretty obvious one. And I love that it's a one-stop shop. That's what has me excited about Batch. Hey, let's go to number 6. Okay. Get all the truth. That's number 6. Get all the truth. Jesse, I had one of my agents, her name's Sarah. She and I got contacted by a past client of mine, and the past client said, "Hey, my mom just got a letter from the bank that she's about to be foreclosed upon. Can you guys help?" Well, of course we can. We have a bunch of options where you can sell to an investor or you can go on the market, right? We have those tools in our tool belt. Um, and we said, all right, help us understand the number that you have on the property. And this aging woman said, I shouldn't say that about somebody. Shame on me. This aging woman, I don't know how else to say it. She had said to me and said to us, "Hey, I owe $250,000 on my property." We immediately ran and checked the data, and we found out that her mortgage was 250, and then there was a second mortgage, and then there was 2 liens on the property. We found out all this other stuff. And so we were best equipped to help her because we knew the full story, and she wasn't of the mental capacity in which to fully understand. The daughter came in and she said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what my mom owes. I don't know the mail she's been getting and that sort. And it created immediate clarity for us to know what we were dealing with so we can navigate through it. Wouldn't you know, we got the house sold, we took care of the problem, and it was like lickety split. Jesse, you see people doing this all the time, don't you?
What do you mean?
Getting this extra data so they have a full understanding of the situation as opposed to just trying to take the sellers at their word. Like, don't you find that sellers don't tell the whole story right away because they don't trust us?
Yes, 100%, especially with more of the distressed properties. There's a couple ways you could do about what's lucky with batches. We do have a mortgage filter, so where it does show their balance and shows if they have seconds or HELOCs and stuff on that. So there's a way for you to validate there. But the best way is kind of like what you talked about is you could actually get a piece of paper signed by the seller. You could actually get in contact with the bank and make sure to get or the payoff and see all of the liens and stuff like that. That's something that we did on a regular basis when I was actively investing a lot more.
Mhm. Yeah, super important. Hey, we're gonna go to number 7 here. We're flying along, gang. Having so much fun again. Jesse, good to have you here with us. Number 7, we're gonna target investors. You did this data search for me. As I learned about this and did a demo with you, you said, "Hey, let's take a look in Fargo and understand the 2 counties that I serve, gang, 250,000 people total. Not a huge area. And I said, let's take a look at investors." And you said, "Let's see who has bought at least 2 homes in the last 12 months." And you pulled up a list of like 200 people.
Right.
And it's like, whoa, 200 different people have bought at least 2 homes in the last 12 months. And then you look to say, well, how many people in your market own at least 10 homes? And that was a list of like 400 people.
Right.
And I don't know about you, but if I find somebody that can give me a guaranteed 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 deals a year, that's far better and better hunting strategies than going and trying to find somebody who's simply going to maybe buy, maybe sometime, right? What kind of rhythm of repeat business do you see with the investors that you work with?
I mean, huge. That's how I started my real estate journey on my own is like, and I didn't have any of these data sets to where it's like, you should reach out to everyone that has 10 properties, in your market, let's say, and it depends. You could split it up or you don't want to get thousands and thousands, but like, one of your goals you could have thousands and thousands and you can say, hey, I want to call 20 investors a day. I'm going to talk to 20 people, see if they're actively buying. Uh, and then if they are saying, hey, I'm a realtor. If I find something on or off market and it fits your criteria, can I represent you as a buying agent? They're absolutely going to say yes. You're finding the property for them, finding the deal. They're
Mhm.
happily going to pay you money. This is something that you should be doing every single day as a realtor. And the other thing you can negotiate, this too, Eric, if they're really starving for deals is, okay, if I find you the deal, I want to list the deal for you as well. And you can create a listing
Mhm.
agreement there. Now you just double dipped on a property. And if you want to triple dip, what if you find the buyer for when they sell that property too? So it's just a compounding effect. But I always thought, and I don't understand why realtors and wholesalers and investors don't work more because there's so much synergy there. And if you find really good investors, treat them well because they're going to give you that repeat business. Most of the customers that Erik's alluding to that you work with, you're hoping they just buy or sell, a couple times in their lifetime. You're having someone that wants to buy a couple times a month. Think of the type of commission and time of the expansion that you could take. Look at all the big realtors on TV. They're working with big developers. They're working with people that are buying over and over again. That's how you grow your business, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I love that you alluded to that's how you started, because gang, Jesse is a whole bunch of humble pie here, but I don't know if you caught it. Homeboy has 250 employees working for him right now. I want you to understand the size of business and the scope of vision you have to have. And it started with working with investors. Instead of trying to say, I want 20 clients, you said, I want one client that'll do 20 properties. And that kind of mindset has grown your world mightily. So super impressed with that, bud. Let's go to number 8. Get lists for your agents. This is assuming you're on a team or assuming you have agents that are reliant on you. I think of this. I'm a big Ben Kinney fan, and most of you hopefully know who Ben Kinney is. He's on my Mount Rushmore of real estate influencers. And Ben said that on day number 1, when somebody starts with him, they have to make 150 calls. And on day 2, they make 150 calls. And on day 3, they make 150 calls. And this is a prospecting game. Many of us are mama bird, baby bird, feeding our agents with just easy at-bats. And it's an irresponsible way in which to do business. I know, because I built a business that way to start out. And we have to get our agents prospecting more, but they're going to say, well, who do I call? I only have 50 people in my database. Who do I call? And wouldn't you know, working with raw data, whether it be a specific group, a neighborhood, people most likely to move, or what you pick the subsect of the farm that you want to do, you can literally give somebody an entire database of people to contact that you didn't have to go and pay $20 to $500 a lead for. Jesse, if I want the hard math on this. If I want to buy 10,000 leads from you, how expensive is that?
You're talking with the contact information, name and email or whatever.
Yep.
Roughly about $1,000 for 10,000 people.
Okay, so about $1 a lead.
Oh, wait, 10. Yes.
Okay.
Wait, that doesn't sound right. I'm not a math expert.
That's all right. You're a male model. That's let's just for all intents and purposes, because I know I know it's less than that based on the conversations you and I had previously. I think, isn't it $100?
Yes.
10,000.
I was like I'm a zero off here. Yes.
Yeah. It's to the best of my knowledge, it's $100 for 10,000. That's literally 10 cents a lead. Yes.
Yes, roughly.
Okay. So if it's 10 cents or 20 cents a lead, gang, do you recognize how much value you can bring to your ecosystem if you're starting to put your money in the right place? You can go, and if you buy one Zillow lead, the average cost of a Zillow lead with an 8% chance to close is about $350 across the industry. Or you can capture the data, give your agents things to work on. This is not just irresponsible work. This is playing a long-term game and not just a short-term game. This is so important that people have this as an option for their agents so that there's always people to contact. And I think this is a really good solution for them. Let's go to number 9. Remember, we're going to 13, so we're making our way through. Find investor buyers to purchase pocket listings. Okay. These are now a chance for you to identify opportunities for those powerful investors. Jesse, this is one of your bread and butters, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I already talked about this like 2 times, but yeah, it's building that buyer list, or, if in alluding to the tool belt thing that we talked about earlier, was make sure that if you go into a listing that you could list it, but you also have an option to give to that seller to where I have someone that could buy this house, for cash from you, and this is what it would look like. And then you have the option that a lot of people don't have, and that is able to give them X amount of dollars to fix their house up to get listed, which is brilliant in my idea.
Yeah, I'm shocked at how few people actually take me up on it. but I'm not shocked at how many people call for it, because it again is it's a value proposition different than what other people are putting out there. Let's jump to number 10. Almost there, gang. Driving for ugly homes. Tell me more about this, Jesse.
Yeah, so this is a really cool tool that we have is integrated with our platform. Is you could literally drop a person on a street in an area that you're going to farm in, and then you could basically take the Google map and go drive around and add properties into your list. If you're looking for distressed properties, you're looking for, the roof messed up, the lawn really long, it looks vacant, or there's abandoned cars, or all these things. Those especially for the investor side, a lot of people's first deals come from either driving for dollars, like actually physically driving, or driving for dollars virtually, which Batch has, to where you're going and looking around for specific homes, adding them to a list, skip tracing them, then, either calling or texting or door knocking those people and trying to find yourself a deal. But I know personally, and working with a lot of big coaches, this is how a lot of people start getting their deals, especially on the investor side. So if you are a realtor wanting, excuse me, that first fix and flip or that first rental property, that's also a great way to go about getting one of your first deals that way.
Yeah, spot on. Really spot on. Let's go to number 11. You say to pinpoint properties that may be likely to consider selling for cash or on the market that are within a range of your newest listings that just hit the MLS. So I just listed a house on 123 Main Street. What do I do from there? Because most of the time we don't do anything. We just put it on the MLS and put a sign in the yard and pray that it sells.
Right. So what I would do is, that's where you have a radius, or you could create something inside Batch Leads to where, who do you want to get to the open house? So that's where you could actually, it depends if we want to call them, if we want to mail them, but you could, it wouldn't be a bad idea to mail. You could find the absentee owner homes. Now, you don't want to mail to the actual homeowner. You want to mail potentially to who's living there, because you want to go after the renter. So you'd want to actually mail to that renter. And then the other thing you could do, that's for the buyer side. Now for the seller side, who would you want, or who would be interested in why you're listing a house? And this is, you could probably speak to this better, Erik, is if you were to send out mailers or want to call to let people know about an open house or a newly listed home, how would you go about it?
Door knocking probably, but let's be honest. I can't get to everybody's door in the radius that I want and the time in which I have. I think that door knocking is a medium that works and is effective if you compound it over time. Mailers allow you to do the same as door knocking, but it allows you to do it in a fraction of the time at a pretty minimal cost. And so if I took on a new listing, I promise you everybody in the neighborhood is curious about it. And so you can become the advertiser of. It's like, listen, we just listed this house for $800,000 on 123 Main Street. If you're curious about what your home is worth, go ahead and contact us, right? It's creating that call to action. It's creating the invite to the open house. It's allowing them a chance to learn more about their neighborhood, which people want to do.
But let's take it a step further. This is, I guess this is the question I was trying to ask. Instead of just blasting the whole area, knowing the data sets and the filtering that you could do on Batch Leads, who would you want to go after to maybe in that area for buyers and for sellers, instead of just saying, let's spray and pray? Like, who would you want to filter down to have a more targeted message to?
Yeah. So if I'm in a first-time home buyers market, I think that the stat is the first-time home buyers traditionally move every 4 or 5 years until they get into their second house. The average person stays in their home 9 to 10 years. And so if I'm in a market where it looks like it's still a move-up market, I'm going to target now people that have been in their house 7 or 8 or 9 years, because they're the most likely to fit into that. If somebody's been in their house 25 years, there's certainly strategy around that also to see if they want to move up or move down. So I would get really specific on the demographics and try to target those people instead of just hitting every last house. You said spray and pray. I like that.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. So like, you would want to get that neighborhood and then filter, okay, who has owned a house in this specific area for more than 10 years? Okay, that's where I want to spend my marketing dollars. Maybe that's who I mail, or maybe that's who I skip trace and give a call, letting them know about the open house or the new listing that we had, or email them or something like that. Yeah, basically empty nester neighborhoods. That's what Josh just said. Basically that's right too. Empty nesters is great too, and we have that filter as well. People that no longer have children at their home. That's another great place to go after.
Really good, gang. Just 2 more left, and then Jesse, we're gonna get you out of here so you can go work on your hair. Try to get a cool style like me. Let's go to number 12. We're talking wholesale list, right? We're looking for vacant, unknown equity and out-of-state absentee owners. What we're really looking is we're looking to create a list of the best people to call. And I want you to explain what wholesaling is for our audience here, because most realtors don't dabble in wholesale, but they all should.
Yeah, I mean, wholesaling is basically what your option 2 is selling to an investor. You're just that investor that is contracting the property and selling that piece of paper to another investor that wants to fix and flip or buy the home. I also recommend that you don't necessarily have to contract it. Is you could agree with someone else to where they're able to. You could also take, I don't know, Eric, I guess, how do you do it exactly?
I would love to say that we do it exceedingly well, but that would be a bull-faced lie. One of the things that we're trying to do above and beyond everything else is we're trying to take those buyers that we have, and I'm the buyer on a lot of these things, but I don't want to buy them all, either because the price is too high or it doesn't meet my criteria that I try to follow. And so we just play matchmaker in this. We can find the sellers. Gang, the myth that most of you believe is that you don't have access to the sellers that are out there. Seller leads are gold, and most of us think that we don't have access to it. We actually have access to it for a very inexpensive way, but you have to be able to massage it over time. And then when you show up, you can't just say, I want to list your house traditionally. Your job is to solve a problem for somebody. If their problem is, I can't move for 10 months, well, we're going to solve that. If their problem is, I need to be out in a week, we're going to solve that. And then the problem is, I need to get a certain dollar amount for the house. Well, you got choices. You can sell direct to an investor. You can, if that investor doesn't like the price, you then wholesale it to somebody else, right? And you just get to play that in between and figure out what your fiduciary is worth. Our job is to solve problems. Our job is not to list houses. Listing houses is one of the solutions to solving a problem, but it's not the only solution. So I think that most realtors right now are shooting themselves in the foot by only offering listing of houses. And I think that the wholesale options and the data that they can grab in order to go and find those owners is far easier when they partner with somebody like Batch.
I couldn't agree more.
Oh, man. Hey, we're down to the last one, number 13, gang. We're going to get you out of here with a little bit of time so we don't go to the full hour. Hey, number 13, open house mailers and texting to the neighborhood. Now, I need you to hear this very, very clearly. You do not have permission to group text people unless they opt in. You do not. Don't you dare think that you can group text people, that you can spam them. You will be in serious, serious trouble. You could be fined hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. Don't be that guy. Nobody wants that. But if you get the 10 houses around the neighborhood that you think are most likely to move and you have their information, you can send them a text one-on-one. Can't you, Jesse?
Yeah, I believe so. If you're doing it from your cell phone, that should not be a problem
Yep.
at all. It's more the robo texting is where all the legalities are around, and the platforms where you're just uploading information. But yeah, I don't believe, unless you know differently, but from what I know, if you're texting them from your phone and you've identified that this is someone you want to speak to, I don't see any type of problem. But I have no lawyer, so
Right.
consult with your own.
Yeah, we are not here for legal counsel, but your understanding is the same as mine. And so let's say I land a new listing and I have an open house. I want to text the neighborhood, right? Again, I could door knock it, but I can text faster than I can door knock. And I'll simply say, hey, it's Erik with Hatch Broker by Real. Open house Sunday, 123 Main Street, 1 to 3 p.m. Stop on over. That's it. And then I can send another message the next day, and the next day, so long as it's not robo dialing, right? And or robo texting. And in that, I think that you're going to get a larger response from people. So I say all this to try to put a bow on this. Gang, hear me very, very clearly. You are spending way too much time and you're spending way too much money on chasing after things that are way too expensive. And the person with the largest database and the greatest work ethic will always win. The largest database and the greatest work ethic. And if you can marry those two things together, you will have forever a career in this industry and money flowing out of your ears. Jesse, give us some final thoughts.
Final thoughts is as a realtor, being one and started off as one is find ways to be more creative than your adversary or the person right next to you. Find ways to not. It's great to listen to what's worked in the past, but be more open to doing different ways of how people are doing things. Be more amped to adopt technologies before others will, because that's what keeps you ahead of the game. That's what got me to be successful so quickly. Was I wasn't just doing what every other realtor was told to do. I went to the top realtors, asked them what they were doing, and then also went and looked internally to myself and say, what am I great at? What I was really good at doing was finding deals for investors, and I leaned into that. And that's where I leaned into. And what I could also do is once I started going direct to seller, that's when I started being a solution type of agent, to where it's like, I could buy this from you for cash. I could list it for you. And then I also did a little bit of what you did, Erik, is basically do what Erik does, but what are you great at and lean into that. And I think that's where your success is really going to come from, and just having multiple tools in that tool belt. And a lot of realtors just won't put in the work or want to change. And that's an advantage that you could have if you're open to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said. And I put in the chat box for those of you watching live, if you want a demo with Batch, super easy to do. Just click on that link. Those of you that are watching the recording, will have this in the comment section as well. A couple of calls to action. Those of you that signed up for this, you're going to get an email, and we're giving away this book right there. Weird to point on the camera. That book right there. We're giving that away for free. What you need to do is you need to go find me on Instagram on the IGs. It's Real Erik Hatch. That's Erik with a K, Real Erik Hatch, and message me one word in the chat, just the word blueprint. As you message me the word blueprint, the AI will take over, and you'll find out how to get a free copy of our book, The Perfect Real Estate Agent Blueprint. We're working on redefining how agents approach this industry. Our partnership with Batch here is just one of those ways as well in which we can elevate the game. So, Jesse, thanks for being here, folks. On behalf of myself and our Hatch coaching crew, we will catch you on the flippity flip. We're bringing you webinars every week, so continue to stay subscribed to our channel, get on our mailing list, and we'll bring all the value you're looking for. Have a beautiful day. God bless y'all.